Everybody hear me all right? Okay. Um, Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Utica. I'm Jack Pendrak, a member of the Soul Matters small group ministry team. Whether you are visiting for the first time or have been a member for many years, you are welcome here. Whatever faiths you have known, if any, you are welcome here. Whoever you are, whomever you love, you are welcome here. We are invited to bring our whole selves to this worship service, our doubts as well as our convictions, the pain and joy we have known, our longing for connection and understanding. Every part of you is welcome here. Our congregation acknowledges the land on which UU Utica is situated is the ancestral lands of the Oneida Nation, one of the original nations of the Haudenosaunee or Iroquois people. If you are visiting us for the first time today, either in person or online, we are glad you have joined us. We would love to learn more about you and connect you with our newsletter if you like. There will be a link in the chat to a form that we hope any online visitors would fill out, and we hope you will stay for informal conversation in breakout rooms. Are we having any breakout rooms? Nope, okay. No breakout rooms, but for the people here for coffee hour after the service. We do have one announcement today, and that concerns the Soul Matters group, which will begin again in October. It'll run one meeting a month for 6 months. We're going to have 2 groups, however, meeting on the second Tuesday and the third Wednesday. If anyone would like to join these groups, please see me or John. Let us open our hearts and minds to the experience of community and the wisdom of love. For the chalice lighting, and like this. We have a chalice lighting titled Why We're Here by Eric Walker Wickstrom. Here today, in this place, with these people, may we listen so that we can hear. May we hear so that we can feel. May we feel so that we can know. And may we know so that we can change ourselves and this world. May this chalice we light our way. The call to worship today is a poem by Gary Kowalski. Maybe prayer doesn't mean talking to God at all. Maybe it means just listening. Unplugging the TV, turning off the computer, quieting the mental chambers and distractions. Maybe it means listening to the birds and the insects, the wind in the leaves, the creaking and groaning of trees, noticing who else is out there, not far away, but nearby. Sitting so still, we can hear our heartbeat, watch our breath and the gentle swoosh of air, the funny noises from our own insides, marveling at the body so that the body we take so much for granted. Maybe it means listening to our dreams, paying more attention to what we really want from life, and less attention to all the nagging, scolding voices from our past. Or maybe it's all about listening to each other, not thinking ahead to how we can answer or rebut or parry or advise or admonish, but actually being present to each other. Perhaps if we just sit quietly, we'll overhear a peace whispering through the centuries. That's missing from the clamor of the moment. Maybe prayer means listening to the silences between the words, noticing the negativity of space, the vast, undifferentiated, and nameless wonder that underlies it all. Maybe prayer doesn't mean talking to God at all, but listening with the heart to the angel choirs all around us. Those who have ears, let them hear. Today's hymn in your gray hymnal, number 95, There Is More Love Somewhere. If you would like to rise if able.
There is more love somewhere. There is more love somewhere. I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There is more love somewhere. There is more hope somewhere. There is more hope somewhere. I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There is more hope somewhere. There is more peace somewhere. There is more peace somewhere. I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There is more peace somewhere. There is more joy somewhere. There is more joy somewhere. I'm gonna keep on till I find it. joy somewhere. Let's do love one more time. There is more love somewhere. There is more love somewhere. I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There is more love somewhere.
Good morning. Can everyone hear me? Good. This morning's together time, we have a story called We Are All Connected, Caring for Each Other and the Earth, written by Gabby Garcia. We all live on one blue dot spinning in space. We are all a part of one human race. We have hopes and dreams and love in our hearts. We are stronger together than we are apart. So why all the fuss to compete and compare when it feels so much better to connect and to share? We can share when we're sad or down in the dumps. We can share our joys, give high fives or fist bumps. When we're seen and heard, trust blooms and grows. We are all connected. Kindness ripples and flows. Let's speak up for others, include and embrace. We all make mistakes. We can give each other grace. We have more in common than we may believe. We are all connected. We all love, we all grieve. We can celebrate differences, lend a hand, learn from each other, take a stand. We are all connected. Let's raise our voices. We can work together to make brave choices. Protect the water, care for the land, respect all beings, the earth is grand. Nature gives her bounty. She is gentle yet mighty. Stand in awe of her force, preserve her beauty. Let's look under rocks and explore vast skies, honor the mountains and chase butterflies. Let's go hunting for rainbows, plant more trees, grow a garden, and be friends with bees. The earth is our home and needs our care. We all play a part, we breathe the same air. We belong to the earth, it is not ours. We are all connected, we are made of stars. We are all connected. Take care of each other, take care of the earth. We are all here together.
Excuse us, just yeah. Oh, okay. Okay, our reading today is an excerpt from Listening by Reverend Dr. Richard S. Gilbert. Listening, the lost art, the gentle art, in my wiser moments, I know that one half of language is to listen. While I spend much of my time talking, I also do a fair amount of listening. It is hard to say which is of greater value. I do know that greater discipline is required to listen than to talk. To listen comes naturally for most of us. It is our default mode. We speak at the drop of a hint that there is someone who will listen. In the Quaker tradition, we have liturgical silence in which one listens to the Spirit before one speaks. Listening, then, has a spiritual dimension. It suggests that I am not the center of the cosmos, but rather one source of words among others. It implies that we have no monopoly on wisdom, that true wisdom may be found in listening. Listen. Listen to what others have to say. There is wisdom in all you meet. Listen to the sounds of nature. It speaks and sings and makes music. For those who pay attention, listen. Listen to the impulses of your spirit. Take time to hear your inner yearnings, that still, small voice drowned in a raucous shout. Listen. This is a noisy world. Perhaps this year we will listen.
Good morning again. For those of you who do not know me, my name is John Camilleri. I'm the coordinator and one of the facilitators for Soul Matter Small Group Ministry. So we've heard a lot about listening today. So you'll hear some more from me about listening as I speak. So can listening heal? I don't know the full answer to that question, but I do know it has something to do with the fact that listening creates relationship. We know from science that nothing in the universe exists as an isolated or independent entity. Everything takes form from relationships. Whether it's subatomic particles sharing energy or an ecosystem sharing food, in the web of life, nothing living lives alone. Our natural state is to be together. Though it seems like we keep moving away from each other, we haven't lost the need to be in relationship. Everyone has a story, and everyone wants to tell their story in order to connect. When we listen without defensiveness or a need to fix someone, but instead listen with curiosity, we bring an air of openness and acceptance to conversations, rather than being attached to our own agenda and a need to change the other person's mind. Because we've cultivated a strong tendency to judge, compare, interrupt, advise, or change the subject, we need to practice to allow ourselves to be silent and to be open with each other. We can then create an atmosphere that promotes healing. Margaret Wheatley is a writer, a teacher, and a speaker. She shares this story in her article, Listening as Healing. A young Black South African woman taught some of my friends a profound lesson about listening. She was sitting in a circle, and each woman had the chance to tell a story from her life. When her turn came, she began to quietly tell a story of true horror of how she had found her grandparents slaughtered in their village. Many of the women were Westerners, and in the presence of such pain, they instinctively wanted to do something. They wanted to fix it, make it better, anything to remove the pain of this tragedy from such a young life. The woman felt their compassion, but also felt them closing in. She put her hands up as if to push back their desire to help and said, "I don't need you to fix me, I just need you to listen to me." She taught many people that day that being listened to is enough. Most of us face obstacles in doing the kind of deep listening that leads to personal insight and healing for those we're listening to and for ourselves. This work to listen differently and deeply is all the more important in our current political and social environment, in which we're becoming more politicized, more divided, more fearful of one another, and less willing to hear someone who looks or thinks differently than we do. Rita Charon is a physician and the founder and executive director of the program in narrative medicine at Columbia University. She says, healing what divides us requires deep listening. She defines deep listening as the generous and humble listening possible when listeners choose to free themselves, even temporarily, of their prejudices, biases, assumptions, and opinions about the matter being discussed. Deep listening is the kind of listening that allows listeners to accept what tellers are telling as having credibility, even if the tale is alien, foreign, or rubs against the listener's own position. There's nothing passive about deep listening. It requires effort and intentionality. Deep listening is a high compliment to the person who is speaking because it tells that person, I value what you're saying, you matter, I care about you, and I want to hear your pain, your distress, your sorrows, and your joys. Listening to each other authentically is not a gift that's offered very often in our culture. Most of the time, we're talked at rather than listened to. We're bombarded with information and demands that drown out our own voice. Being listened to by trusted companions helps us to hear our own voice again. And more than that, listening to each other authentically gives us our story back. You heard Jack speak earlier about Soul Matters groups, which I'll talk a little bit about. Each group, like Jack had mentioned, meets once a month. Each month, members receive a new small group packet on the current theme for the month. These packets are designed to support the Soul Matters unique approach to the small group experience. They include spiritual exercises, questions that encourage exploration and reflection on daily living, and pages of recommended resources that help participants explore the themes in more depth. Soul Matters, in each group, we invite members to practice 3 distinct disciplines of deep listening. First one is hold still, the other one is hold at bay, and the third one is hold up and hold out. I'll briefly talk about each one. So hold still is about offering each other the gift of presence. In practice, this means responding to people sharing with silence rather than interruption or immediate response. In our groups, each member takes a turn sharing before any group reactions or discussion occur. We hold each other sharing rather than react to it with comments or questions. Responding to each other with silence can feel awkward, but it makes room for the person speaking to hear themselves. It's about creating an opportunity to allow the person sharing to wander without worry, so new insights are given the space to emerge. The second discipline we call hold at bay. This is about offering and ensuring safe space. It involves keeping our often unhelpful reactions in check when it is time to respond to each other. The hold at bay guides what happens which we refer to as a second round or response round during the groups. So people do have an opportunity to respond to what people are saying. So the response round takes place after everyone has taken a turn of uninterrupted sharing in the first round. After listening to someone share their thoughts and stories, it's natural to want to analyze and assess what we've heard. It's understandable, we want to offer advice and try to help people solve the problems or talk through the issues they may be dealing with. But it's not what we really need. So this is why Soul Matters asks us to hold our often unhelpful responses at bay by following the rule of no fixing, no advising, and no setting each other straight. The third discipline is hold up and hold out. This is the one that people get confused with sometimes, even in our groups. Whereas hold at bay reminds us of what not to say during the response round, hold up and hold out is our guide for what to say when we do react and to what we've heard from others. Instead of responding to each other with fixing, advising, or saving, we hold up gratitude for one thing that especially struck us while we listened. And we hold out how that one thing connects to our lives and may have clarified something about our own situation. This requires a different kind of listening from the start. Instead of analyzing or judging what people are saying, we need to listen in a disciplined way. Instead of allowing our brain to ask, what do I think of this person sharing? Do I agree with them or not? And we direct ourselves instead to the question of, where is this person sharing trying to take me? Soul Matters encourages us to think about how the other person sharing might be trying to take us back to reconnect us with a forgotten memory, or how their sharing might be trying to take us inside a forgotten piece of wisdom. Either way, our goal is to allow people sharing to transport us, to reconnect us with a memory or an important piece of wisdom that's waiting within. Fundamentally, Soul Matters is an invitation to listen to each other more deeply and more intentionally. So what is special about all these Soul Matters group? I'm talking a lot about Soul Matters this morning. Well, I'll read an excerpt from Soul Matters itself to answer that. Simply put, Soul Matters mends the threads of spiritual connection. Around us swirls a shallow, frantic, and materialistic culture that leaves us cut off from our deepest self. Many of us come to church hungry to mend these sacred connections that get frayed and torn. Soul Matters exists to support this journey of reconnection to life and to others and to our deepest self. We do this work of reconnection by listening. I have another story. Naomi Riemann, MD, writes in her book, Kitchen Table Wisdom, very highly recommended. She only has one book, and she works with cancer patients. And she writes in this book, in a chapter entitled Just Listen, she writes, one of my patients told me that when she tried to tell her story, people often interrupted to tell her that they once had something just like that happen to them. I've done it. Subtly, her pain became a story about the other person. Eventually, she stopped talking to most people. It was just too lonely. When we interrupt what someone is saying to let them know that we understand, we move the focus of attention to ourselves. When we just listen, they know we care. Dr. Riemann goes on to say, I have even learned to respond to someone crying by just listening. In the old days, I used to reach for the tissues until I realized that passing a person a tissue may just be another way to shut them down, to take them out of their own experience of sadness and grief. Now I just listen. When they have cried all they need to cry, they find me there with them. We connect through listening. I suspect that the most basic and powerful way to connect with another person is to listen, just listen. Perhaps the most important thing we can give each other is our attention, especially if it's given from the heart. Being fully present in silence with someone is uncomfortable. We may feel that we have to respond with a profound statement or at least give some advice to address the person's issue or problem or whatever they're sharing. But when people are talking, there's not always a need to do anything but to receive them. Just take them in, listen to what they're saying, care about what they're saying. Listening is such a simple act. It requires us to be present, and that takes practice. But we don't have to do anything else. We don't have to advise or coach or sound wise. We just have to be willing to sit there and listen. If we can do that, we can create moments in which real healing is available. Whatever life we have experienced, if we can tell our story to someone who listens, we may find it easier to deal with our circumstances. A loving silence often has more power to heal and connect than the most well-intentioned words. Thank you. As soon as I find my order of service, I'll announce the next hymn. Okay, our next hymn is number 1031, Filled with Loving Kindness, and it's in your teal hymnal, and if you're able to, please stand.
May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be peaceful and at ease. May I be whole. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well. May you be peaceful and at ease. May you be whole. May we be filled with loving kindness. May we be well. May we be filled with loving kindness. May we be well. May we be peaceful and at ease. May we be whole.
Now it's time for our offering. with words by Kayla Parker titled, A Greater Good for Ourselves and Our World. We know that our financial contributions to this congregation come from sacrifice and hard work. We are so grateful for this and commit together to share the funds we gather collectively to do a greater good for ourselves and our world than they could have done alone. May there be an offering to sustain and grow the life and mission of this congregation. May we give in love and in hope. The ushers may now come forward to take the offering. Now it's time to extinguish our chalice. You can join us with the words in your order of service. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we meet again.
Our benediction comes from Cynthia Landrum. We leave this gathered community, but we don't leave our connection, our concerns, our care for each other, our service to each other, or our service to the world and to our faith continues. Until we are together again, friends, be strong, be well, be true, be loving.
Hello, everybody.
Hello. That was great.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I like that.
Are you in your new place, Judy?
Yes,
Oh,
I
hey,
got-
Judy.
I total confusion on Friday when I moved, and like yesterday morning, I got my office set up. So it's like, okay, I'm gonna try out and see if Zoom actually works on. Spectrum is doing its usual,
Oh, yeah.
which is intermittent access, and I've called technical support 3 times in 2 days.
The
You got-
frustrating,
Oh,
the frustrating thing is they sent out an email the other day telling how good their new Wi-Fi is and their new connections, and it's worse.
it just, well, the guy I just talked to, you know, I would have been on in time for the beginning of the service if the connection had been there. He said, "Oh, I see your connection went out 400 times yesterday." I said, "What?
Wow.
Your service sucks even more than I thought it did." So, but I'm here. The cats are running around like crazy, and I found the tea kettle. I found my subwoofer, so I have audio. So, but the garage is like a storage area, but it's coming.
Give yourself 5 years.
Well, my goal is by the time snow flies, so I can get my car in the garage, you know?
Right.
Oh, yeah.
But here's the thing, they counted. I'm kind of embarrassed about this, but they moved 71 boxes of books.
Well, that sounds about right to me.
Oh, what's wrong with that?
Well, I've got a whole set, you know, I gave up about 10 boxes to the library, and it's like every time I would go, I'm reading 3 books that I found on my shelf that I'd forgotten about. And every time I would go to weed things out, it's like, oh, I can't. So I just
Oh,
decided
yeah.